In this video, we're gonna do two things. Number one, we're gonna restore this antique wooden salad bowl. And then once it's restored, the second thing we're gonna do in today's video is make a Caesar salad using the bowl. So before we get to part one, where we clean and restore the bowl, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a backstory on how this bowl came to be. Why do I have it in my possession? So one thing about me is I love Caesar salad. And I don't know if you've ever been to a fancy steakhouse or Italian restaurant, but sometimes they have a tableside Caesar salad service. So basically that's when they make you a fresh Caesar salad at your tableside. And what bowl are they using when they do that? They're using a big wooden bowl like this one. And why do these restaurants use a wooden bowl? Well, the textured wood, as opposed to say a glass or plastic bowl, the texture of the wood helps emulsify the dressing. Another reason people use wooden bowls for their Caesar salad is because of flavor absorption. When you're making the Caesar salad dressing in the bowl, you start by rubbing garlic all over the bowl. Then you add other ingredients like lemon, olive oil, anchovies. And every time you make a Caesar salad, because the bowl is wood, it will absorb trace amounts of those ingredients that will give your future salads more of a complex flavor, in the same way a cast iron pan would. So how did I come across this bowl in particular? Well, if you know me, you know I love Caesar salad. I mean, what's not to love? So if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I do a lot of cooking content on my TikTok page. And because I love Caesar salad so much, one day I was like, okay, well, time to make a Caesar salad video. So one thing about me, I do a lot of research. I try to do things as authentic to the traditions as possible. And for the Caesar salad, that traditional Caesar salad, it is made in a wooden bowl. Unfortunately, I didn't have one. So at that point, I was like, okay, it's time to invest in a wooden bowl for Caesar salad. I went down to this local kitchen store on Roncesvalles. It's called The Cookery. Love that store. Walk in, knew they would have a beautiful wooden bowl. They carry such high quality items, the best brands, everything. So I was like, okay, I go there, buy the bowl from them. I know it's gonna be a good one. Walking into the store, I knew these bowls could be expensive, so I budgeted to spend around $100. I thought that's how much the bowl was gonna cost. And you know, I go into the store, look around, I see 3 different size wooden bowls on display. I'm like, oh my God, perfect. I have a variety of options to choose from even. I was in between, I think it was the 16-inch, and then there was one size smaller, either 14 or 12-inch. But I was like, you know what, we're here, we might as well go big or go home. Let's get the 16-inch. And because these bowls, they were up on display, so they had the prices on them, but I couldn't see what the prices were until the sales associate brought it down. And the bowls were absolutely stunning. The brand of the bowl was Matthew Studios, and they were made out of walnut wood. And then as I was holding the bowl and kind of seeing the quality and craftsmanship up close, I, in my head, was like, there's no way this bowl is only gonna be $100. It is definitely going to be more expensive than that. Then I flipped the bowl over and my hunch was correct. The bowl was in fact not $100, it was $350. So it was $350 for that bowl. And you know, I am at the stage in life where my buying philosophy is buy once for life. I'm okay with spending more money on high quality items that will last a lifetime. I would rather do that than having to keep replace an item over and over and over again. That being said, I was not ready to drop that kind of cash on a bowl. And the bowl was beautiful. It almost looked like an ornament that you could display in your kitchen. Nothing bad to say about the bowl. I just didn't want to drop almost $400 on a bowl that day. So I left Cookery empty-handed. I never made the Caesar salad because I needed the bowl. How could I make it without the bowl? I wanted to do it justice. You know, I couldn't make it in the glass bowl, God forbid. So that was that. I forgot about the Caesar salad, moved on with life. And then 2 weekends ago, I was in Montreal for Osheaga. And before the festival, one day we went to this Italian restaurant. What did we have at that restaurant? This amazing Caesar salad. And you know, enjoying that salad really reignited my passion for the Caesar. The restaurant that we were eating at where I had that Caesar salad, it was in a part of Montreal called Griffintown, and Griffintown is known for their antique shops. So we had already planned to hit up some of those antique shops after we had this lunch. So I was like, well, when in Rome, when I'm at these antique stores, I'm gonna see if they have a wooden salad bowl. And we only had time to to go to 2 antique stores because we had to go to the festival. The first store that we went to, barely anything had prices on it, and the things that did have prices on it were like $10,000 plus items, so I wasn't getting my bowl from there. And then the second store that we went into, it looked like a home on the episode of that TLC show, like Hoarder Buried Alive. If you watch my Osheaga vlog from 2 weeks ago, you will know what I'm talking about. But the store was just filled with very narrow aisles and truly tens of thousands of trinkets. If you wanted to find something in there, you couldn't, because there was no way to even discern what was there and what wasn't there. It was so chaotic in there. So Madeline, who I was with, my sister-in-law, she was like, let's just ask the store owner if he has the bowl as opposed to trying to find the bowl in the store. So we did that. And the store owner, he said that yes, he did have a couple of wooden bowl options, but they were downstairs. So he went to what looked like the basement of his store to retrieve the bowls, and he returned with just this bowl here. So we were looking at it. It didn't have a price on it. And, you know, I wanted to know my options. He said there were bowls, plural, down there. So I said, you know, this bowl, it looks really good, but can we see the other options downstairs? And he replied being like, yeah, there are more bowls downstairs. And we were like, okay, great. Like, can we see them? And he said, no, I'm not going back down there. I was like, okay, no, okay, can I go down and look? What? Okay, no problem. And when he told us no, he kind of did like a one-up and was like, no. But if you don't want to go back down for the other bowls, just say there aren't any. Like, come on. So I was like, okay, this isn't like the best customer service experience. I didn't really want to buy the bowl from him, but at that point, we didn't even know how much it was. So I asked, how much is the bowl? And he said the price of the bowl was $20. And I almost walked away out of principle. But then the flashback of walking into Cookery and reading the price of the $350 bowl, I was like, you know what? We're just gonna purchase the bowl. And we did. The only reason I wanted to look at the other bowl options was because I was looking for something a little bit lower and wider. And I actually just measured this bowl because I didn't know what the diameter of it was, but it is 12 inches. My dream bowl at Cookery was 16 inches, so it is a little bit small, but $20 versus $350, what can you do? Beggars can't be choosers. So that's why I have the bowl. That's why I'm making this video today. The bowl is quite beat up. He couldn't give me any information about the bowl. When I asked the store owner what the bowl was made out of, he said wood. I said, I know. Obviously, what kind of wood? And he couldn't give me a definitive answer. He said he thinks it's walnut. But the bowl, she has a lot of potential, but she needs a little bit of elbow grease to get there. She is pretty beat up. So today we are gonna start the cleaning and restoration process. And the first step to do that is we gotta go and get some supplies, okay? I made a list of everything we need. Let me read it to you. Number 1, we need hydrogen peroxide. Number 2, we need sandpaper. Number 3, soap. And finally, which I don't know if we're going to be able to acquire at the local Home Hardware, we need food grade mineral oil. We might have to order that off Amazon, but let's go to Home Hardware together, me and you, to try and at least get some of these items. And I'll show you guys my bowl restoration outfit of the day. My little tank top, it's from RW & Co. And then my shorts, they're Citizens. Such a nice day out. But we got all of our stuff. I'll do a haul once we're home. We're home now. Before we do the haul, let's just take a moment for these cats. Now the little haul of everything we got. We got some sponges to apply the hydrogen peroxide as well as the wood oil. We got the hydrogen peroxide here. We also got garbage bags unrelated to this project. We just needed some. This is the food grade mineral oil. This is rubbing alcohol. There is a little bit of Sharpie on the bowl, and online it said that you can try to get rid of it with some rubbing alcohol. So we got that to try to take care of that. And last but not least, we got some sanding paper, a sanding sponge, which I'm gonna assume is the same as sandpaper. That's the haul. Now, okay, it is 5:20. A little bit about my day today, just as an aside to the bowl. So this morning I had a procedure done. It's called a frenectomy, which is basically if you have a tongue tie, you are getting the tongue tie released. That procedure, frenectomy, it's what I had this morning. That requires you to go to the orthodontist, in my case at 9:30 a.m., and they numb your entire mouth. Then they take a laser, slice your tongue, stitch you up, then you're on your way. So I had that done this morning, okay? That procedure was initially scheduled for the day that we left for Osheaga, but because I got invited to Osheaga last minute, I had to move the procedure. But prior to that, when the procedure was scheduled for that different date, I had RSVP'd to a event with Hey You, which is a reality TV streaming platform, for the premiere and advanced screening of Real Housewives of London. What day is that screening? It's today, okay? And I didn't realize until it was only 2 days before the event, and I thought it would look unprofessional if I canceled so close to the event. So I was like, well, hopefully the tongue tie procedure isn't too invasive. Like, will I be able to talk after? Obviously I can, I'm talking now. But my mouth is actually on fire. But you are supposed to keep talking as part of the healing process. All that to say, at 7 o'clock this event starts. I probably won't leave until 7, get there 7:30. You never want to get there right when the event starts. But right now it is 5:20. So we have about 40 minutes to get started on this bowl before we have to leave for the event. And then after the event, we're gonna come back and finish. I wanna do the bowl cleaning and restoration process all today so that we can make the Caesar salad tomorrow. So that's the plan for tonight. First, I'll give you a bowl tour. What does she look like up close? What kind of, wear and tear does she have on her that she needs to restore? And then we will probably, hopefully, get through half of the restoration process, which is starting with the rubbing alcohol, trying to get that Sharpie marker off of the bowl, then disinfecting the bowl with this hydrogen peroxide, then sanding the bowl. Realistically, that's all I will probably get to before I have to leave for the event. After the event, we will finish the restoration process by doing a soap rinse of the bowl and then applying our mineral oil. So let's get started. Clock is ticking. This is the before restoration bowl. This is our starting point. As you can see, there's a little bit of dust and debris in here. There's her up close. It is actually quite dusty. It's gross. Flip her over. This is the Sharpie that I was talking about. It also has a stamp, but it's indiscernible. Maybe when we restore it, we'll be able to read it, not sure. First thing we're gonna do is apply the rubbing alcohol to the Sharpie marker. See if she comes off. It says de. You can tell I bought it in Montreal en français. She is not coming off easily. Maybe this sponge will help instead of the paper towel. I'm gonna cut it in half here. I thought this would come off a lot easier. It's definitely faded. Maybe I need to go with the grain of the wood more. Okay, we're making progress. I wish I could have just bought the expensive bowl. Oh my God. No, this will be worth it in the end. She's faded a bit. Before we continue further, I'm just gonna put a old dish towel underneath this. And this makes sense why it's not coming off. The wood has absorbed it, and that absorption property is the whole reason why we wanted this bowl in the first place. So I can't fault her for it, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this off. I'm gonna have to go to my event, and we wouldn't even have completed step 1 yet. This bowl is absolutely filthy though. Okay, that's what I could get it to here. I'm okay with leaving this for now as is. It's not perfect, and I can kind of see that the color is being stripped from the wood. It kind of seems like we're doing more damage than good. So step 2 is disinfect. We're gonna take this hydrogen peroxide and just lather up the bowl. And I'm really hoping that this restoration process works because everything at Home Hardware was 50 bucks. So we have 20 bucks for the cost of the bowl, $50 for all these other items to restore the bowl. We're in $70 deep, okay? So we're just gonna give her a little sponge bath here. Look at the sponge though. I didn't want to do this at my kitchen table because I didn't want to get any of the alcohol or hydrogen peroxide on my like beautiful teak made in Denmark kitchen table, but this is a bit awkward on the kitchen counter. This is really gross. So the stamp has become a little bit more visible. I think it says hand carved on the first line, and then the second line solid oak wood, and then the third line made in Thailand, I think. The hydrogen peroxide has been applied. The next step is we have to let it sit for 10 minutes. And before I left for the event, I wanted to get to sanding as well as the soap rinse. But this is all we had time for before I left. Why I wanted to finish up until the soap rinse before I left was because after you do the rinse, you have to let it sit for an hour. You have to let it dry. And then after that hour, you can apply the mineral oil. So that's why I wanted to do it before I left, so it could sit, it could dry, and then when I got back, we would be ready to apply the mineral oil, but that's not how it went. So when we come back, do you guys want to come to the event? I don't know anyone going. I'll probably know people there though. I just like haven't talked to anyone and confirmed that they're going. So imagine like going to a party by yourself. That's what going to an influencer event is when you don't know anyone. So I could take you along if you want. Then we'll get back to the bowl. Wait, you guys, look at Jojo's little paws. Oh my God, you're so dapper, buddy. Look, his little paws. They're crossed. Oh my God. Everyone assumes Jojo is a girl and he loves that. He gives off very sassy feminine energy. Okay, we are event ready. It's 7 o'clock. This is my take on high tea fashion. My top is from RW&Co, the one I was wearing earlier. My little skirt is cotton. My shoes, they're Margiela Luxe. Would wearing these glasses be a bit crazy? Are these giving high tea? I'm sure I'll know people at the event, but I don't know anybody confirmed going, which is always fun. So I don't know if I described the event, but it is an advanced screening of the first episode of Real Housewives of London. We should go. The event is from 7 to 9. I presume the screening is at 8, so I will be getting there around 7:30, which is perfect. I'll have like half an hour to chit chat, then watch the screening, then go home. And get home to what? The soap rinse for our wooden bowl. I just got back from my event. They gave us a little gift bag. The venue it was at was stunning. It was at the Fairmont in this big like ballroom, and they had all these tables of high tea set up. I didn't realize it was gonna be, oh my God, Mason. I didn't realize it was gonna be so opulent. Stunning event, hey you. But in the gift bag, they gave me this umbrella, and it says here, Real Housewives of London. You know me, I love the Housewives. Love is an understatement. Like, I don't even like talking about the Housewives because I know so much about it, and it would probably cause someone to question, why does she know so much about reality TV? So I do keep it on the DL, but I have seen every single Housewife franchise multiple times. It's my comfort show. If it's on Hey You, I watch it. So I'm always excited to go to a Hey You event. What else is in this gift bag? Cute. It's like a little newspaper. So at the event, I had some tea and crumpets, and then we watched the episode. No spoilers. It's out. It'll be out when this vlog is out. And then I came home. The bowl. We gotta keep going on the bowl. So I'm gonna start sanding in my outfit.
You're gonna be fixing this bowl up.
Well, honey, it's a multi-step process. Number one, alcohol. Because I tried to get this out, but it really took out some of the coloring, but whatever, it's on the bottom.
Have you done some research on how bowl refinishing is done?
No, I didn't. I just went for it. Obviously, I did research on it. How would I even know what to do? And then hydrogen peroxide. You have to do a hydrogen peroxide bath. Now, this is the next step, is sanding it, actually. And then you have to do a soap rinse.
How do you fix the cracks in the bowl?
That, I don't know. I don't know if you can.
Did you look that up?
No. Yeah, for the purpose of this because I want to make a Caesar salad in it tomorrow. Is this sanding paper? Is this the same as sandpaper, you think? It's a sand sponge.
I mean it is, but it's a lot rougher. Like that's quite rough for like a finished surface, and it's also not going to be able to like sand the inside, for example. You're probably going to want like, that's good for a wall or a flat surface, but not really for a wall.
We bought the wrong sandpaper. I knew there was something off with the sponge.
I feel like this bowl might be more than a one day.
Why do you say that?
Because woodworking is it just seems like a big task. It's a lot of work to like get a good quality product out of there. Like probably gonna take more than a day.
What else do I have to do?
I mean, there could be like a drying. I don't know. Is there a drying process or anything like that? Do you need to wash it, let it dry, let anything like seep in, like do multiple layers of oil? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh, you didn't spend 2 days researching it like I did.
You didn't even research filling the cracks, babe.
Well, because I wasn't going to.
I think you'll want to get like a couple grains of sheet sandpaper though.
Yeah.
Like a coarse one and then a finer one.
Okay, you guys, this is gonna take us until tomorrow. The sponge, it's not gonna work for the inside of the bowl. We don't have sandpaper, so we're gonna have to take our journey back to Home Hardware tomorrow. See you then. Good morning. Day 2 of our bowl restoration process. We're about to jump right back into it. But before we do that, if you remember last night, we tried to sand the bowl with the sanding sponge, but because it's not malleable, it wouldn't work on a curved surface like our wooden bowl. So we have to go back to Home Hardware and get a sheet of sanding paper. So that's what we're gonna do now so we can keep going with the restoration process. So these are what we got last time, which did not work. Now we need to get one of these sheets instead. I think this is what we are looking for, a 120 grain Pro Sand. I'm gonna get 2 sheets here. Got the goods. So we're back. We have our sandpaper, but now after hearing David's comment about the crack in the bowl, initially I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I was just gonna, proceed without attempting to fix it. But now, should we really go full send with this restoration and attempt to fix the crack as well? Because kind of pressing on it, it does move. Like it is a pretty noticeable crack. I didn't realize that it ran all the way up to the top. You can see it here. It is actually quite large. You can kind of see it here. I don't think it would leak, but we're already pretty invested. You know what I should do? A dollar count of how much restoring this bowl is gonna cost me, okay? Let's recap cost up until this point. $20 for the bowl. We spent $50 yesterday at Home Hardware for the hydrogen peroxide, the rubbing alcohol, the sanding sponge, which was a miss, the wood oil, and then today we spent $8 on these sheets of sandpaper. So we are at a running total of 50 plus 8, 58 plus 20, 78. So we're at $78, which is still a lot cheaper than the $350 plus tax, so almost $400 for that wooden bowl from Cookery. So I still think we're ahead. Cut to end of vlog, me just going to purchase that wooden bowl from Cookery. So now adding the cost to potentially repair this crack. We have wood glue. David just confirmed that we have wood glue. What I might need to buy is a little bit of sawdust. I'm gonna watch a video on how to repair this crack here. I just grabbed the wood glue from David. It is, like, the crack is pretty big up here. It's a hairline fracture. Update. After looking into the different options on how to fix a crack in a wooden bowl, I've made the executive decision to not try to fix the crack. And the reason why I'm choosing to not do it is because to do it in a way that I would be satisfied, confident, and in a way that would be food safe, I need to do a lot more research into the different options. So I've been told by the internet, there are a lot of ways to fix a crack in a piece of wood. You can use wood glue, wood filler, wood putty, or epoxy. So those were kind of the 4 options I came across. So we're just gonna park that for now and just proceed with the sanding. All right, so we have our sandpaper. I think I'm gonna cut this in half. And I'm kind of upset. I don't know, you can kind of see the discoloration. This is from the rubbing alcohol. I went too hard in the paint with the rubbing alcohol to try and get this marker off. Bring this back. I don't want to sand the stamp. To sand, you're supposed to go with the grain of the wood. I mean, who am I to say this? This is what I saw in the video I watched. The bottom here has been sanded. I'm lucky that nobody will see the bottom of this bowl. Hopefully some of the color comes back when we put the mineral oil on it. I don't want to put any kind of stain on it just because it is going to be used for food. I also like don't know at what point the sanding is done. Now let's flip her over. At the end of the day, if this visually doesn't look the best, whatever. I just want, at minimum, for it to be clean. So hopefully the hydrogen peroxide did what it was supposed to do. I feel like with this sanding, I'm just scratching the bowl. The mineral oil take away these scratches? I don't think so. Gives it charm. We're just gonna get rid of some of the dust here. So around the bowl, it kind of looks like it has all these different dirt deposits, which is what's showing up here, I presume. Getting them out is scratching the bowl. So will the wood oil, will it take care of that? Or the mineral oil? I don't know, but I would rather have them out and have a bit of a scratch bowl than leave them and have the bowl aesthetically look pleasing. Actually, a good thing I got a couple sheets of sandpaper because we went through quite a few pieces of it. The bowl is sanded to my personal satisfaction. I don't know if it's sanded to an objectively satisfactory standard, but subjectively, she's fine. The next step in this process is the soap rinse. Basically, because there's a lot of dust and debris from the sanding all over the bowl, what we have to do is just lightly rinse her with some soap. Everything I read / watched emphasized that you are not doing a soap soak, but rather a soap rinse. And I don't know what the exact distinguishing line from a rinse versus a soak is. Hopefully we don't cross that line and stay on the rinse side of the rinse soak continuum. And a funny anecdote about soap and me. Recently I went to a wedding, and at this wedding there were a lot of lawyers. One of the lawyers this is so sad. One of the lawyers told another person at the wedding, they asked what I did if I was a lawyer, and I think they said something along the lines of she was, but now she's an influencer, she like sells soap. She said that pejoratively. This loser sells soap online. Like she shrills soap for the masses in exchange for a paycheck, because this is me projecting, she couldn't cut it as a lawyer, is how I interpreted that statement. And initially, it honestly really made me feel bad about myself. Oh God, haters in the flesh, say it to my face. And you know, I've done a lot of influencer ads. I've pushed a lot of product. I've done Armani Beauty, Estee Lauder, Away Luggage, NFL, Ziploc, but I've actually never even sold soap. I've never done a soap brand deal. I was like, number one, girl, get your facts straight, okay? I've never done soap. Not that I wouldn't. I feel like Dawn probably has really big budgets, and it's in every single household. Everybody buys soap, so if you need someone to sell it, I'd be your girl. Dawn, if you're watching. And I was honestly feeling really like insecure after I heard that. But then I remembered you can't live your life being dictated by how you are perceived by others. If you do something that's a little bit unconventional, a little bit out of the ordinary, there's always going to be somebody who has something to say about it. And you can't let that person and their opinions dictate how you live your life, she tells herself while screaming into the void. So that's just a little lesson for you, because if I did listen to everybody who thought I should stay a lawyer, I'd be looking at some rogue company's income tax filings, probably on Excel, probably having to maneuver a pivot table. Because I didn't do that. We're here restoring this bowl together, and we're gonna have a beautiful Caesar salad. And I don't even have to bill this time that we're doing this together. So anyways, now on to the soap rinse. And that's what got me on this tangent to begin with. I linked the soap rinse to the pejorative soap comment. We're gonna forget about that and move on to our soap rinse. I don't have a sink plug, and I don't want to use, you know, she's an environmentalist. Kind of, not really, but I try my best. But big oil, she's taking us all down. Anyways, I didn't want to like run the bath because that just seemed excessive. So we can fill this up with some warm water, put some soap in her, and do a couple rinses. rinses. Soap I'm gonna use today, let's sell her. President's Choice. Original, just like me. Active grease fighting. Perfect. Would you buy this from me? I'd sell it to you. Okay, we're just gonna put that in there. We're probably gonna have to do a couple of these, but I still think it's a better option than the bath. I wish I had a bigger container. Okay, we'll just go like that. Now, the next step in this process, our bowl has been rinsed, not soaked. Now we have to pat dry her with some paper towel. I think she looks pretty good. I mean, I don't even know. I feel like the sanding definitely scratched the bowl. I think from afar it looks really good. It's like an AI photo. Just don't look too close. What is clear at this stage in the restoration, if you can even call that process, is I messed up the bottom. But it's okay. That's not visible. So now the next step of this process is actually very easy for us. Just leave this bowl for 1 hour to dry. So that means I'm gonna go to the mall. Wish I was joking, but I have to do a return. I don't want to go to the mall. Just kidding. I love the mall personally. See why the instructions said to pat dry? Because when you don't, the fibers of the paper towel get stuck in the bowl. Apparently I didn't pat dry enough because there's a bunch of the paper towel fibers. Do you think I should rinse it again? They're really That cookery bowl is looking more attractive by the minute. $400, that's it? The next video will be everything I learned trying to restore this bowl. Everything I did wrong. Okay, well, we'll be back in an hour once this girl dries. See you then. All right, everyone, we are back from the mall. Now our bowl, she's been resting for more than an hour, so she should be dry. Now we're on the final step of the restoration process. We have our Howard cutting board oil. So this is food grade mineral oil, and I was reading the back of the product and it says specialized wood care for butcher blocks, cutting boards, wooden bowls, and utensils. The penetrating quality of pure USP food grade mineral oil rejuvenates the wood and prevents drying and cracking. Will not go rancid. And of course, this mineral oil is food safe. To apply this, we're gonna just put some on the sponge here and rub it all around the bowl. Start with the bottom. And we have to do 2 coats of this. So this is coat 1 of 2. She's slippery with all this oil on her. I dropped it. Okay, but let's do the inside. And because of the rest time, that's why I wanted to do the sanding and soap rinse yesterday, but we didn't get to it. All right, there she is. She's all oiled up, so we just have to wait an hour. And then we'll do a second coat. In between now and then, I have another event, you guys, a Joe Fresh preview. So I'm gonna go get ready for that. What a day. Honestly, I'm shocked by the difference just the oil makes. The bowl, she's looking pretty good. We are back from my event, the bowl. It's been sitting for like 4 hours now and still hasn't completely absorbed the first coat of oil. So I think I'm gonna leave it overnight. I thought this was gonna be a 1-day thing. It's gonna be 3 now. Hopefully by the morning it's absorbed all of the wood. I don't know if I just used too much oil or what. Do you like Mama's new bowl? Do you like Mommy's new bowl? So we will reconvene tomorrow to see if the wood has soaked up the oil, and if it has, do another coat. So I'll see you then. All right, we are back with the bowl a couple days later. So I did that 1 layer of mineral oil, and in instructions I read from various sources, they said to do multiple layers of the mineral oil, but I think I must have maybe put too much on because it actually took a couple of days to dry. I'm not going to do another layer of mineral oil. There was a little bit of a residue, even though it had been drying for 2 days, so I just used some soap and water to get the residue off. I don't know if that was okay that I did that. I don't know if that disrupts the mineral oil. I just wanted to make sure that there was no mineral oil getting directly into the food. So she's dry from that, and now we're gonna start making the Caesar salad. We're having people over for a barbecue because one of David's friends, they are moving to Dubai, so I thought, well, since I'm making a big Caesar salad, we'll just make it for this going away party. So let's get to it. First, we're gonna add a little bit of salt to the bottom of the bowl here. And we're gonna take these 2 garlic cloves Put them on top of the salt. And we're gonna smush them into the salt. Now we're gonna take these anchovies. I like a lot of anchovies, but because other people are going to be eating this, I'm just gonna put a normal amount of anchovy in.
God, his energy is so good. It makes me sick.
Fry the dressing.
There's like DIYing that I feel like every day.
As long as there's one left.
There's a ton.
I was definitely.
Oh no, I think I grated my Parmigiano too thick.
Maybe you can add some oil.
Yeah.
What do you do? I would do this because we don't need it to be super high heat. After heat.
Julia,
This is 2 hours after you're good. This is like no rush.
this is the only way we can do it. On the weekend, it is.
Spring, summer, I do it myself. More good for like yeah. It's nice.
I wanted to give you guys some concluding thoughts on the bowl restoration process. I made like a dense bean salad in her today. I couldn't really talk when I was making the Caesar salad in the previous scene because obviously I have bad time management. As I was making the salad, guests for our barbecue, they started arriving. So I had a full kitchen as I was trying to make my first Caesar salad. It turned out pretty good. I think I put too much pepper in it. But some thoughts on the bowl. This bowl has a 12-inch diameter. Initially, I wanted the 16-inch diameter bowl. I thought this one was gonna be too small. That was misguided because this bowl actually holds so much. It held 2 full heads of romaine, no problem. There was probably room for a third, if not a fourth. So I'm really happy about that. In terms of bowl utility, 10 out of 10. In terms of the restoration process, one issue with the bowl, because I sanded it, it doesn't lay flat. Probably see. She like rocks, okay? So I can get some like pads to put on the bottom and that will take care of the issue. But that's one thing that I wasn't really thrilled about. I didn't really realize or take that into consideration when I was doing the initial sanding. Overall, I think my first restoration project was pretty good. Wasn't perfect, but I learned a lot this time around that I'll apply the next time around. And what I did learn is that just a little bit of work goes a long way with wood restoration. Even just adding the mineral oil made such a huge difference, and that's easy to do. It's low cost and it'll make things like your bowls, your cutting boards just look that much better. And in a way, I feel proud of my bowl. We went on this journey together and I wouldn't have gotten that if I just went out and bought that one from Cookery. So overall, 10 out of 10 process. I feel like this won't be the only thing I restore. There's a wooden chair that I have upstairs. I was like, should we do her next? That was this week's video. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any tips for my next restoration project, let me know in the comments. If I could have improved anything this time around, also let me know. But yeah, thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you next Tuesday.